Hello everyone, welcome to Primetime Recaps. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. It will make us happy and help us keep making videos like this. Today, I'm going to be explaining a movie titled Edge of Tomorrow, released in the year 2014. Warning, spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie opens up with a series of news broadcasts about an alien attack in Europe and how humanity has failed to defeat them in the last 5 years, but eventually won a battle on Verton against the alien attack with the help of an advanced exoskeleton suit. Sergeant Vertasky becomes the Queen of Verton, who managed to kill hundreds of alien mimics. The victory gives hope to humanity, because they can win against these aliens. So, they formed the Special United Defense Force and committed all their resources to Operation Downfall in the Battle of France. In the next scene, the main character, Major William Cage, is flying to London. Just a day before the France battle, Cage meets General Brigham, thinking he would boost his public image, but the general orders him to join the frontline force in France for footage covering. Cage, who has no combat experience, rejects the general's order and tries to blackmail him with his media management power. As Cage makes to leave, the general orders his men to arrest Cage. He attempts to run but gets captured. He lands on a pile of bags at Heathrow Airport. The whole airport has turned into a battle station. There, military personnel kicks him, but Sergeant Farrell takes over and Cage tries to explain his rank and demands for a phone call. Later, while bringing him to provide him a phone call, Cage realizes something odd. Sergeant Farrell then takes out the order from the general, in which he describes him as a deserter impersonating his major. Sergeant Farrell then takes him to the J Squad unit. Farrell finds the squads playing poker cards and compels them to eat the cards they are playing. Sergeant tells the squad that Private Cage is a major, but he doesn't know how to fight, so he'll likely run away from the battle. Therefore, the sergeant makes the squad responsible for his behavior. The next day, Griffin puts an exoskeleton suit on Cage. He tells Griffin he doesn't know how to use it and he might likely hurt someone, but Griffin tells him it is for safety. They march toward the battleship. Cage tries to run away but gets stuck. He again tries to disable the safe, but couldn't as the aircraft's rear end blows off with enemy fire, and he has to release before the dropship falls. He lands on the beach and sees chaos everywhere. An aircraft drops on one of his teammates, but Cage survives the crash and gets up. He tries again to disable the safe, but safety is still stuck onto some foreign language. Yet another aircraft is about to crash on him, but he runs fast and ducks, saving his life. Sergeant Vertasky gets out from the ship and he looks at her as she kills mimics skillfully with a sword. She is knocked off by one of the mimics, but she manages to kill it. She then walks towards Cage, but gets shot down. Cage gets up and runs away, but he is stopped by Sergeant Farrell. They regroup to prepare for the coming attack, but it seems like aliens already knew that they're coming and they begin slaughtering the forces. Cage sees a tentacle creature emerging from the sand and kills everyone in an instant. He somehow disables the safety and starts shooting at the mimic and kills it, but another mimic appears which looks quite different from all the other mimics. He tries to shoot him, but is out of ammo, so he grabs the claymore bomb beside him and blows the mimic off. As the mimic charges toward Cage, he is covered in mimic's blood and this melts his face. He immediately wakes up in the same place he was the previous day. He sees the same women printed on the bus which he saw in battle. All the events happen in the same way as the previous day, except now, he can remember everything, which helps him predict the future at a certain point. In the second response, he deployed again and died trying to save his teammate from a crashing aircraft. He wakes up in panic. Sergeant Farrell again takes him to J Squad. He tries to convince everyone that the mimics will ambush the entire invasion, but nobody believes in him. They duct tape his mouth instead. He then tries to reach Sergeant Vertasky. When he saves her, he gets hit by gunfire and she takes his battery pack instead of helping him, and this causes an alien to kill him. Cage now is trapped in a time loop where he repeatedly deploys and dies. He wakes up on the duffel bags again and again. As he loops through the top, he becomes slightly more skillful at killing mimics and saving J Squad and Vertasky. He survives one loop long enough as he manages to save Vertasky by killing every mimic coming their way. He informs her that he is stuck in a time loop where an alien is slaughtering the forces, because it's an ambush. Vertasky realizes and tells Cage to find her when he wakes up. The aircraft explodes, killing both of them. The next day, he rushes to the J Squad to cover the poker cards so Farrell couldn't punish them. During PT training, he attempts to escape, but is not really successful. He manages to escape the base after several failed attempts and finds Vertasky's training bay. It now seems that the entire special unit is hostile towards him. He walks up to Vertasky, but she greets him rudely. After he explains that Vertasky asked him to find her when he wakes up, she whips him and tells him not to discuss it with anyone, because if he does, he'll die. She says it's happened to her also. She then sends him away to a weapon repair building where his colleague Dr. Carter works. Dr. Carter is a former researcher of mimic biology at General's HQ. He explains the time loop phenomenon to Cage. His theory states that the mimic actually works like a single organism controlled by an omega. He explains that the mimic he killed is an alpha male, who is 1 in every 7 million and works like a central nervous system for omega. When an alpha mimic gets killed, the omega who possesses the ability to turn time back starts the time cycle again. This will allow them to precisely predict the next move of the forces. Vertasky explains to Cage that she became a part of the loop when an alpha mimic's blood spilled on her just like Cage. As a result of her injuries and a human blood transfusion, the alien blood lost its effectiveness and the time loop was broken. She tells Cage that he will start to have visions, because when an omega feels like it's losing its power, the individual responsible will have a vision about the whereabouts of the omega. As she trains Cage through a large number of loops, in some cases, killing him again and again, but when he is seriously injured, she tells Cage that there is only one rule, which is that he has to die if he gets injured or she would kill him to start over. Vertasky kills Cage whenever he gets injured during training and eventually Cage experiences a vision of the omega. He describes the omega's location to Dr. Carter, which is in a dame. Somewhere, they plan their escape off the beach. Although Cage and Vertasky improve their combat skills and progress on the beach, but Vertasky keeps dying and he is stuck in a time loop, having watched Vertasky die repeatedly. Cage gets attracted to her and becomes emotionally drained. Discouraged, he decides to go to a bar in London on his own, but there he discovers that after losing on the beach, the mimics have taken over London. After many loops, Dr. Carter finds the location of the omega, which is in a Germany dam. In one time loop, Cage is slaughtering the mimics effortlessly while his teammates are left in awe. They both make it on land beside the beach and Cage tells Vertasky to get the caravan and offload the trailer while he joins her after distracting the mimics from ambush. After getting away with the caravan, they are chased by some mimics. With repetitive attempts, Cage finally kills them. Meanwhile, he slowly gathers details about Vertasky. While traveling, they run out of gas and so they go to a house nearby. They find a helicopter in a barn and Vertasky looks for the key. Soon, Cage notices the burns on Vertasky's back, thus, he patches her up. She insists on finding the helicopter keys, but Cage tells her to take some rest and Cage gives her coffee instead. She is surprised at the treatment he is giving her. It turns out that Cage is trying to entice her to stay at the farm while he confronts the omega alone. Cage confesses that he has the keys, but that every single time she starts the helicopter, the nearby mimic attacks and she dies every single time. Stunned and offended, she intentionally flies the helicopter which in result attracts the mimic attack and kills them. Upon waking up again, he finds Vertasky, but decides not to involve her in the journey. He packs extra amours and batteries, surprising his teammate. Cage eventually finds his way to the German dam alone, but finds nothing and nearly falls prey to the alpha mimics who just wanted him to bleed. However, realizing it's a trap, Cage manages to drown himself and start the loop again. He explains to Vertasky and Carter that it's a trap and there is no omega there. After putting the pieces together, they realize that the omega used Verdun victory to lure humans into attacking Europe, where all human armies would be ambushed and destroyed. Having no other leads, Carter's device for Omega detection is the last hope. Thus, Cage and Vertasky turn their attention to getting the device, which is in the general's office. After numerous loops, they make it to the general's office. The general is surprised to see Cage with his most decorated soldier on the opposing side. Cage tells the general that he will not win the fight at the beach, and he convinces Brigham to give them the transponder, as it's the only way. Being their first time after getting the transponder, they don't know what to do next. As they get out of the building, they get surrounded by troops. On seeing this, Vertasky shoots Cage and starts the loop again. In the next loop, as they attempt to escape by car, Vertasky stabs Cage in the leg with the transponder. Cage discovers that the Omega's true location is deep under the Paris Louvre Museum. The exoskeleton soldier stops their car as they attempt to escape the Allied headquarters. Vertasky is knocked out by the airbag before she kills Cage. Later on, Cage awakes strapped on a hospital bed and under arrest. He realizes he cannot loop through time anymore while receiving a blood transfusion. Afterwards, Cage is rescued by Vertasky, but he is unable to loop in time again, and there's only several hours left before the invasion takes place. Cage designs to recruit the misfit J Squad. His familiarity with J Squad, Vertasky's credibility convinces J Squad to accompany him. They steal an aircraft and fly to Paris. Cage tells them that they must avoid killing the Alpha, otherwise, Omega will reset the time. When they reach Paris, mimics start attacking their aircraft. Sadly, half of the J Squad die as a result of the subsequent firefight. With remaining engine power, Cage, Vertasky and 3 J Squad members decide to slide the aircraft into the museum. While the rest of the J Squad sacrifice themselves in the slide, Cage and Vertasky make it through to the museum. When they reach inside, they encounter an Alpha and they halt. Vertasky tells Cage that she will distract the Alpha, while he dives into the deep water and throw the grenade belt on Omega and kill him. Vertasky leaves to distract the Alpha mimic, and Cage dives underwater to find the Omega. The Alpha kills her after a brief chase. Meanwhile, Omega senses Cage diving into water and dispatches Alpha after him. Alpha manages to kill Cage, but Cage had already released the pins and drops the grenade belt into Omega. The Omega explodes and dies, and the mimics die with it. Just before Cage dies, the Omega's blood washes over and sips into him like the Alpha's blood did on the first day of the loop. Upon waking up again, a day before the France battle, on the way to the general's office, Cage sees the news confirming that they have won the battle as a bright flashlight appeared and disabled every mimic before battle. The movie ends with Cage visiting J Squad and Sergeant Vertasky and is overjoyed to see that they are alive. I hope you liked the movie. Please turn on the bell icon to be the first to watch our videos when we post contents like this. You can also suggest a movie you would love us to explain in the comments section. Thanks for watching.